What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NBA Bit. We're here. We made it. It's Friday. It's Friday. Whether you're watching us on the tubes, on the YouTubes, or over on Twitter, which who knows? Maybe Twitter's going to be back to its booming self now that our friend left the government. A plus. We got a good one though. Talking some Bing Bong Boys, some Pacers. I had boots on the ground. Boots on the ground, not at Madison Square Garden, but at Barclays for the New York Liberty Golden State Valkyries. And it was a lot of fun. We're going to talk some WNBA. We got a special guest that's going to be joining us here in a second. But just quickly, a couple of businessy things. 89 Cavs will be back next week because I forgot to schedule it for this week. Hoop Sense is going to be live right after the show on the Count the Dinks channel at 10 a.m. Trey's back. So that'll be fun. Go check that out. Go subscribe to the Celtics Daily. We should have another Fantasy Hoops video, all of that stuff, all of that business. And then come hang out with us in Las Vegas for Summer League, July 10th to the 14th. But I think that's it. I think that's most of the business that we needed to do. One other thing I will say, we might have we should have a special show. It'll either be late Saturday night or early Sunday morning after Game 6. We'll do something there as well. So, anyways, enough of that BS. Who do we got in the chat? We got Happy National Water Flower Day. We got Happy Birthday to Harrison Barnes and Shaden Sharp. Two real ones. Matic Auto Sneeps. Patty Coin's up early. We got Regulator. Brad's up in here. It's not Roham, Snoop, Matic Auto. Let's go. Let's bring on our special guest, iMagiKarp. Normally dropping some alpha in the chat during the show. Now we get to get it on stream. How we doing, man?
How we doing, man? I'm doing good, man. It's a good Friday. Don't have to work tomorrow.
That's
Not
great.
working right now, so
yeah, that's great. That's all good things. You, I know, are deep in the underdog streets. And so, like, because we're going to talk about,
I'm a degenerate.
But we're going to talk about last night's game. But I figure we can like enter into last night's game. How did that affect your best ball bags? Adding one more Indiana Pacers New York Knicks game.
Yeah, I think I can actually grab it. I think I will end up maybe. I have an outside shot at getting 4 to the finals now.
4 to the final? Are any of those live?
Oh, no.
No, everything's dead.
No, I got one that won't min cash because it's got 3 Knicks, 3 Indy. Okay. So whoever's in second in that one is probably very upset at me.
Okay. That's all right, though.
Basically, my only live finals was Minnesota and New York.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be in that similar spot. So I'll be curious to see like if anybody has anything that's actually really live. But we can get back to the dog app here in a little bit. So last night, Knicks won 111-94. Tibbs out there playing guys from the bench, which was a real change of pace for him. We got a little bit of DeLon Wright, a little bit of Landry Shamet face. What were your takeaways from last night's Knicks win? Like, do you think this is a repeatable thing, or is this like desperation needed to get the W?
I mean, it was kind of predictable, right? I think I was talking to you in the chat. I was like, I think they could push it to 6 pretty easily. But Indiana came out really flat. They weren't aggressive. Knicks defense was otherworldly. And you know what? I think this lineup change is interesting because I don't think so. Like the lineup change, like putting Mitch is like fake news, right? Because like Hart is still playing a majority of the minutes and things, and I think they're just doing the rotations differently. And I can tell you what Tibbs is not doing. He's not sitting Karl Anthony Towns down in the locker room being like, "Stop fouling early." He keeps doing it. And he's like, this is a good thing for us because then it gets you off the floor, Hart back on the floor, and then we only have one of Brunson and one of Cat on the floor. So I can tell you that that's what they're thinking.
You think the foul trouble is it's intentional foul trouble?
No, I just think he's not telling Cat to stop.
Yeah.
Because like you remember last year, Anthony Edwards is like, I need my guy to stop fouling so he can be on the court. Not happening here.
He's like, go ahead. The Mitchell Robinson thing is I agree with you. That's kind of like fake, where he's still playing the exact same amount of minutes. They've just changed when it happens. And I honestly feel like he's been less effective in this first unit. And I don't know if it's because one, you're just going against the starters, which is a different beast than going against the reserves. But I also think he's just kind of, for a lack of a better term, like blowing his load like super early. He's got nothing left. And I think that's what's so exciting, like for Mitch and the Celtics, right? He would come in and it's such a different look. It's insane energy. And you just need it for like 5 minutes. And then you're like, oh, wow, that he like completely flipped the script. But when you do it from the start, everybody's kind of got that energy, right?
Yeah, unless you come out like the Pacers did, with no
That's
energy. But like, even still, like Mitch was still very meh yesterday when it's like Indy was super flat. But I completely agree. I think this is dumb and low key. Who was it? Tony Bradley
yeah,
with a little bit of an injury, who was like their skeleton key for
right.
Mitch Rob.
Which
Like,
is insane. That's insane that we're like, man, are they going to be able to recover from the no Tony Bradley minutes?
this is so stupid. But that's where like, okay, maybe if like he's a little hobbled, maybe you put Mitch back
Yeah.
on the bench because then they've got no size on
Yeah.
Mitch,
Thomas
and that
Bryant
was
is
that
fake
was the
big.
that was the whole problem with Boston, right?
Yeah. No, and Thomas Bryant, yeah, is a fake big. Like he's out
Fake
there, but
big.
he's not like out there rebounding or anything. We
Tony
also saw
Bradley minutes.
yeah, all right. We saw some Precious Achua minutes last night too, but again, like DeLon Wright playing 10, Landry Shaman playing 14. I saw a tweet from Bariani, who, and I don't have it in front of me now, and this is like halfway through the third quarter. Basically, both Shamit and DeLon Wright are like plus 20 or almost plus 30 in their minutes on the floor in this series, which, like, I mean, I wouldn't even say they played 30 minutes total this entire regular season. Like, they haven't been out there, right? So it's just so wild. And I can't tell if you like, do you give Tibbs credit for doing this? Or is it like, how did you not play these guys in March to like see what you had, you know?
Well, see, and it's so confusing and painful. Like, from like okay, so you and I were like big fantasy guys. From a fantasy perspective, I love the Knicks. They're
Right.
like, they are what they are. But like, like when we're talking through slates, you're frustrated with Boston because they're throwing out these weird lineup combinations
Right.
throughout the regular season because they're seeing what they have. They're
Right.
seeing what they have in Luke Cornett, like guys like that. And like, it paid off dividends for them. But every time they go to this bench, it's good news for them. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because I don't know, they have legs or something. I don't know what it is. But the Precious Achua minutes are fake because Cat got in foul trouble. So
Right.
I don't think that was intentional. And that's what happened, I think, the last time Precious saw minutes in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, no, I think that's right too. Yeah, it is. I see Laird in the chat saying borderline malpractice not to play these guys in March and April. It is. It is just so nuts that they don't get in there. But I mean, it's working now. I think, I can't tell if this was the Pacers just being like, in the first 10 minutes of the game, was Indiana like, okay, listen, let's see what we got. Does somebody get hot? Do we take a lead early and then we throw everything we got? And then the second this, like, Brunson, who we haven't even talked about him yet, he was awesome. Like, Brunson
Nuke.
was talk about like stepping up to the moment. He was so good in that first quarter. I think, what did he go, like 6 for 9 in the first quarter or something like that? But I wonder, do you think the Pacers just were like, okay, it's not happening tonight. Let's just Nesmith, you're only, because I think Nesmith only played like 14 minutes, right? Do you think they were just like, hey, let's just keep him 16 minutes? You're like, well, let's just keep him healthy and like try to go get him the next one at home.
Yeah. I mean, he's clearly not 100%.
Yeah.
But which is fine. You're gonna play through it no matter what. And it's
Right.
not that. So injury thing is it's not the ankle that he missed a ton of time with either. So it's not
Right.
like a re-injured one. So they're gonna push it a little bit. But yeah, this was a pack it in game for sure. And the guard was rocking. So
Yeah, the Garden was insane. That's why I thought TJ that I tweeted this out as a joke, and I
yeah,
don't think I do like, whoa, you can't do that early in the game, man. You gotta. That's way too early to be doing that. That's at least I know Halliburton got caught doing the choke thing because his foot was on the line. That at least made a little bit more sense. You doing that was in like the second quarter, I think he flashed that, right? You
yeah,
can't.
it was early. Well, to be fair, he doesn't get very much run, so like he's got to do it when he's out there. But like
Yeah, I love look at the game script before we start yelling at Miles Teller.
I think they were down too. Like, they didn't lead at any point in the game. I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
So
come
like
on.
you're doing that when you're losing. Like I don't know.
I know. Yeah, somebody must have said something to him when he like checked in or something. Somebody like Spike Lee or Chalamet. Somebody must have yelled something, and he was like, "I'm saving this." The other thing, like mentioning Brunson here, so just like quickly for his stat line, like 12 for 18 from the field, 32, 5 and 5. It is like if you had told me before the series started, I'd have been like, "Oh yeah, Nesmith is going to get some Brunson, but man, Nembhard is a dog. They'll throw Nembhard on him." Nembhard looks terrible on defense against Brunson. I did not see that coming. I thought he was going to put up a little bit more of a fight, and it's almost feels like it's not even like he's even with it. It's like Brunson's excited when he gets Nembhard.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Brunson should be excited for whoever gets him, and
Sure.
if they do get to OKC, it'll be an interesting test, especially with how OKC is just Indiana on steroids,
Right.
like,
Right.
so like they're going to be attacking the same points. Like, okay, yeah, you're not going to be again being able to have Cat and Brunson on the floor at the same time. Otherwise, you're just going to get destroyed. So that means they only have to have one elite defender, and they have like 7 on that team. So like, I don't know, it would be an interesting spot.
Do you
But yeah,
what is your take like heading into game 6? Because I'm a little bit torn where and maybe it's just because I'm a Boston fan, so I've seen this happen a couple of times, but like that when you're up 3-1, it feels like you have so much momentum, and obviously you have way more room for error. But the second you lose that first game, and now all of a sudden it's 3-2, you can feel everybody like panic immediately. It's like, wait, I thought we had a huge lead, and now it's 3-2.
well, okay. I know like Indiana's kind of front running the series, but I think New York is way more in this than we're giving credit, just in general, just because like they technically should have won at least one more game, right?
Oh,
So
for sure,
like
game 1, yeah.
for sure game 1, and then they stole one back. So it kind of like evened itself out. But New York, even before this lineup change, was keeping things close. It was like this is closer to a pick'em type of series than anything, I think.
Right.
Which doesn't bode well for the finals, but for this series could be fun, and I think it could go to 7. I do think there's a chance.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the first quarter of game 6 will probably dictate a lot. Like I do think there's a world where Indiana comes out and does the exact same thing New York did last night, where they just win the first quarter pretty handily and then they just stay on cruise control the rest of the way. Yeah. But if it's a close first quarter, you're going to feel like the energy is going to be nuts in Indiana, and not like in a positive way. It'll be nerve-wracking.
Or Indy's up 20 and then we start having flashbacks.
That's true.
That's true. The Boston fans PTSD. Oh no.
Yeah, they're like up 25 with 3 minutes left, and they're still just like pressing aggressively, just because they're like, we can't put ourselves in that situation again. Do you think? I know you kind of were alluding to this. Do you think either of these teams actually have a chance against OKC, or is this like whoever OKC plays is probably Thunder in 5?
Listen, you said it on the show and I said it in our private chat. The winner of the NBA finals was dictated by game 7 of Denver OKC. Yeah. And unfortunately, Aaron Gordon hurt a hammy. So we didn't get a really good game, unfortunately. But yeah, it's interesting because both Indiana and New York, they have like a good build for championship teams. They're just running into a nuke. That's all they're running into, because like they've got the on-ball defense, and like you can see yesterday when New York wants to play defense and they have the energy to play defense, they're locked down. They're really, really good. They can hide, Brunson on a corner 3 guy, and then they've got 4 guys out there anchored by Mitch Robb in the middle. Looks great. It looks great when it's working.
It's weird that it only works once a series.
Well, like this is the second time, right? They started to lock it down when Nesmith rolled his ankle, I guess.
That's true. Yes, that's true. They did. You're right. Yeah, they did the second half of that game, and then last night, and then I know they did it. The only like lockdown Knicks defense I feel like we saw in the Celtics series, I guess they did it in the second half one other time, and then in the elimination game, they were insane on defense. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I feel like Thunder, like we were saying, the Thunder are probably going to roll no matter who they play. I would love to be wrong. I would, because I don't really have a rooting interest in this, so would love for it to just go as long as possible. But it does kind of feel like they roll.
Let me give you the bear case for OKC. All right, the bear case. I don't think. So the bear case is that, okay, they went out and they got this guy, Isaiah Hartenstein, right? Yeah. From this New York team to combat certain matchups. And he's been in the starting lineup this whole time, right? Which I think is useless at this point, because he's there for, he was there specifically for Dallas to begin with.
Right.
And then obviously the whole stuff with Dallas happened. And then he was very helpful, obviously, in the Denver series against Jokic, because they needed the size and the bodies for the center. But now, like, The rest of the way, they didn't need him for Minnesota. They didn't.
Nope.
They don't need him for either of these two teams. So, is Diagonal gonna make a switch? Is he gonna be brave enough to do that sort of thing, to break the chemistry of that and the rotations? I think the bear case for me, and I'm like a secret OKC hater. Like like they have holes, and I think they can get out coached.
Yeah.
I think Diagonal doesn't.
By Tibbs?
I'm not gonna play the playoff experience card for the players, but
Yeah.
for the coach, I think he doesn't have it in his bag necessarily when it needs to. He's just got a juggernaut of a team, and it doesn't matter what buttons he's pushing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know if I'd give the nod to Tibbs in that, but Carlisle, I would listen to that. I would.
Yeah. I'm saying this is like, okay. I think Indy in 6. If I'm being honest, I'm thinking Indy in 6, and then I can see Indiana having the bench to combat what OKC does. Because even like, I don't know if this is even like a Chet series if it's Indy, because Miles can get out there and he's not. I mean, obviously he's way smaller, so maybe they switch it up and maybe Chet gets aggressive to the rim, but that's also not something Chet likes to do as much.
No, it's the only time
maybe it's not a Chet series.
Yeah, the only time you see Chet get to the rim usually is on like slashes. Like it's not usually like on the ball. He's not like just dribbling by people. I do wonder though, like would Indy be able to score at the rim at all against OKC? Like, would they have anybody that could get to the rack? I guess Siakam would be an interesting matchup for them.
You think that, but then I'm probably putting Dort on him, and that's, I mean, Siakam's a beanpole versus like the biggest man I've ever seen on a basketball court.
I'm open to hearing the case. I just, man, every way I look at it, I'm like,
so here's an additional, and you're thinking, and it's not working in the New York series either, and maybe that's because Nesmith rolled his ankle or whatever. But you think like Indiana has got these secret on-ball defenders that people are starting to learn about.
Yeah.
So maybe they slow down SGA, or maybe they just do the thing where like, okay, SGA gets his. And nobody else gets it. So if we can stop J-Dub, like, who's went nuclear against Minnesota, because Minnesota's tried that thing where they're like, okay, let's double SGA, and that did not work at all. So maybe they just like, okay, yeah, let SGA get his, and let's stop all the other pieces. I think that could work, but I don't know. I think it's probably like a OKC in 5.
I feel right. That's kind of what it feels like. The Knicks, I would think, would be a little bit more interesting. I don't know if they have the defenders to stay in front of OKC, but I do think Cat could do like some work in that series.
Oh yeah.
I think they don't have anybody like I think Chet is one of the best like rim protectors out there, but the Cat is just a different beast because it's not necessarily about rim protection with him all the time.
And I was just pulling up popcorn again, and like Cat went crazy in this game too. He had that crazy stretch when Brunson was off the floor that he just like nuked in the fourth quarter, and like at the beginning of the third. Like again, they're gonna have to figure out that stagger to make that work at the same play. But Cat goes crazy.
I also love that we're like, it's freaking May 30th, and we're like, man, hopefully the Knicks figure out how to stagger Brunson and Cat. Like how?
Well, I mean, it's a perfect regular season combo. Like they're gonna like. And you've been talking a lot of off-season stuff, and I'm like, man, they can run this back pretty easily unless they get the wonderful like gift deal for Giannis or something like that. Because like I think Giannis,
I mean, that's the only way they should
better version of Cat.
That's the only way they should break it up. Like they should run this back.
They should absolutely run this, because I mean, we're talking no Dame, we're talking no Tatum for the year. Like who like okay. We're going to see what Cleveland does, because they're going to lose some pieces. They're not going to have the redundancy with Ty Jerome. They're not going to have all these things.
I saw the report, I think it was from Sam and Miko, that they're planning on paying Ty Jerome.
Good for Ty Jerome, man.
I don't know if it's going to be like a short deal. I think I saw something that was like $14 million, but I'm like, if they're paying him, what
he could get more. The problem is he could get more somewhere.
That's what I thought too. Orlando, please.
Yeah, Orlando, hook up. I'm like a Ty Jerome truther, so hook.
Yeah, I love Ty Jerome too. I know I was so surprised to read that report. I mean, who knows how real it is, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, nobody's good. Like, it's gonna be the Pacers, it's gonna be the 76ers corpse, it's gonna be like what Detroit I think is going to be like pretty scary, and then Orlando, if they make a couple of moves, I think could be pretty interesting too. But like nobody's like, holy shit, it's the 1 seed and everybody else.
So I need the 76ers thing to work out because I need hope. So I'm in Wisconsin, right? So I'm a Bucks fan, and it's looking bad. It's looking bad for us here, right? But like with Joel taking like the last year off, and maybe he comes back and they get a run, and maybe like Giannis is thinking about this and seeing the moves that then they can make after, you know, I mean, we have no assets, so I don't even know how we can do it, but like seeing the moves that were made, like maybe they're like going to take the gap year for the Bucks, take the year, free up some salary so they can lure some younger people in and maybe some depth in. I don't know. For the following year, but I need this 76ers thing to work out. So Giannis looks at it and goes, you know, it worked out for them. And this East, because he's already like, I want to stay in the East. Like, I don't have to play as hard. I don't have to work as hard, win as many games. I just need to get to the playoffs and go crazy because he does that. Like, I just need that.
This is
to work out.
This is how bad it is for Milwaukee fans that you're rooting for Joel Embiid's health to show Giannis, hey, you can take a year off.
Yeah. I mean, Giannis is still young, all right? He's not like, people are playing into their 40s now with how they're taking care of their bodies and things. I mean, Giannis is taking a beating, so I don't think he goes as long as these guys, but like...
Yeah, I'm not saying Giannis is toast at all. But I just mean like, you're like, man, I hope the Sixers have a good year so Giannis stays in Milwaukee. Also, fellow
yeah, I see that in there.
Yeah, Giannis Kuz and AJ Green, the new big three in Milwaukee.
Listen. We've still got some stuff, and we get to get Brook Lopez off, which I've been thinking they could have gotten rid of him.
Yeah.
More than Chris Middleton at the trade deadline would have been better for me, because we could have really used Chris Middleton.
18 minutes of Chris Middleton or 32 of Kyle Kuzma. What's more effective?
I think in the playoffs you'd have gotten like 24 of Chris Middleton.
Yeah, and that would have been honestly the same amount because I think Kuz was just getting played off the court.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Let's get a predict. Who's taking Game 6 in this from you?
I think, well, Indy's favored 4. I think Papa Hallie's in the house. You know, I think the energy is going to be pretty lit. So give me Indy in 6. I just think they're deeper. I think Knicks are going to be tired. You know, like the Knicks didn't even get to really rest in this game when they were like blowing them out, even like, and that's partial Tibbs, partial.
Well, Indy was weird too because it kept getting down to like 14, and so you were like, okay, I guess we gotta keep everybody in here. I'm with you. I think Indy takes this in Game 6. I just think like it's hard to like understand the desperation and being at home like in that scenario, and it's hard to match that when you're the team that's up 3-1. And I feel like they will now feel a sense of that where they're like, we really don't want to go back to New York for a 7th game.
If it goes to 7, I think it's Knicks.
Yeah,
like just straight up. It's
me too. And go ahead.
I don't think that momentum. I mean, that momentum is crazy at that point.
Yeah, I will say though, if this Nesmith thing was not just being like, hey, let's go get it in Game 6, and he's really only playing like 15 to 18 minutes, then it's a different story. Because if they don't have Nesmith, Brunson's going to average 40.
Well, what did he play in the last game?
16.
4. Because he was questionable coming into that one. I think he got a pretty good run.
I think he got 30. Yeah, 30 plus.
Yeah, 32. Yeah, so I think that's the case.
Yeah,
on that. So I would be like, if you're thinking like numbers wise, betting wise, if you're thinking about props and things, I'm not concerned about Nesmith really.
Yeah, if anything, hopefully we get some lower numbers because people are concerned about it.
Yeah, that could be a spot. I could look at that.
Let's do, because I talked about this a little bit, but would love somebody else's take, and then we'll pivot. We'll talk some WNBA stuff. What do you think Minnesota does this offseason? What do you think that roster looks like heading into next year? Because I know, so they've got to decide like who they're paying. They've got 3 guys that they really have to make a decision on. And it's Randall, who has a player option, I think. So it depends what Randall wants to do. But then you decide to extend him or not. Then you have Naz Reid, and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
So it's tough. Minnesota is like I mean, they got the new ownership too, so I don't know what the new ownership is going to really necessarily want to do.
Right.
So that's like a
A
curveball in
wrinkle.
this. But historically, they're not spenders, and they were setting up for this summer basically by trading away Cat. Obviously, it was a good trade for them in the sense that they got to the same point. They had the fandom, they got excited, they got the fan base going. That's kind of sadly a win for Minnesota. Sorry, guys. But like, I would imagine Randall stays. Coaching wise, they've got one of the best, so like
Yeah.
Ant obviously is very excited. I think they got to keep Naz Reid. He's too important to the fan base.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if he's necessarily even their best sixth man, but like he's so important because Gobert is so useless in some situations to me that like they have to have Naz Reid.
yeah.
So
Who do you think if they both were just on the open market would get more attention, Nas or Nikhil? Because I was thinking about this
Nas,
yesterday. You think Nas?
Nas. I mean, I think Nikhil is definitely got more potential to me. Like Nas, I think is at his top where he's at. Like I think he's just like a sixth man with good fill in five when somebody gets hurt or something like that type of energy type three, good corner three guy, good 3-point guy, great big, he's got that going for him. But like Nikhil, I think has a ceiling that Minnesota's not trying to tap into.
Yeah.
So I think that's intriguing to me, but I think the other teams evaluate and be like, oh, Naz can help us right now. Like if Milwaukee got Naz Reid, I would go crazy. Like that'd be great.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis out there with Naz Reid, that all energy all the time. Like, come on, mess with us. Go there.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I lean well for regular season purposes. Nas, I think, is a way better call. Like Nas helps you get wins throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
I'm like always so impressed, or at least the last two postseasons. Nikhil like really steps up in the postseason, and I think it's because he can defend a couple of different ranges. Like he's good enough as a 3-point shooter that you have to close out on him. Like you can't just leave him open there. We've seen him flash some upside a couple of times, but they probably garner like similar interest. But I'm with you. I think Nas would get a little bit more. And I'm with you. I think they have to keep Nas. I think Randall probably opts in, and then it's Nikhil who leaves. But it is. I was listening to Waz was on the Zach Lowe podcast yesterday, which was great. If you guys have it, it's just it's like two guys taking turns doing monologues, and I mean that like lovingly. It was great.
Great, yeah.
But Waz was kind of saying like it would be weird for them to extend Randall. Because you basically, like you were saying, you move off of Cat for the flexibility, and then you did it for Randall and Nas. Like you decided you wanted those two guys instead of Cat, and like I guess maybe the sum of two parts is a bit more beneficial for them than. Yeah, you think so?
I think. Well, I mean, look at the league now. You got to run 8 or 9 deep in the playoffs. So
it's true. It's true. Regulator in the chat too was saying the Wolves are lucky no one has money this offseason. That is such a because I've been doing some Celtics content on that Celtics Daily Show or channel, and it is really hard to find any offseason moves that don't include the Brooklyn Nets. Like Brooklyn has to be included in everything.
Or Washington.
Yeah. But the Wizards are so weird too, because like I don't even know what things they would like to take on, right? Because they're still in this, right? Like it's just picks, I guess, but they don't even have a lot of like older guys they want to get rid of. I guess Marcus Smart and Kuzma would be the two options there, but that's really it, right?
What's Chris Middleton's? Because they got I don't know if is he a free agent? I don't even know.
I think Middleton had one more year left.
Okay, so they could. That's a nice contract to dump off to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The offseason is going to be so weird. And that's why I was so confused by that Shams report where he was like, this is going to be the craziest offseason we've seen in a while. I'm like, I just don't see that. We don't have – it has to be all trade-based because most of these guys that are free agents are player options that it sounds like a LeBron, a Harden. It sounds like they're all going back.
Well, listen, it's going to be a fun offseason. I always anticipate the offseason. I'm going to enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be the craziest. That's ESPN brain rotting him, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably right. All right, let's pivot to some W stuff. I was in Barclays last night for what ended up being way too close of a game, and I think it's because it's the second time they've played each other.
I've got some alpha for you. I was actually going to literally bring this up because you're a lib.
Yeah, I am a lib.
You're a lib. So This is like a trend. So okay, it's a little background W for me. I didn't start playing it till last year. I didn't follow the league till last year. A fake fan, but Underdog came out with it, and I was like, you know what? I just love hoops
Yeah.
way too much. Like it's definitely my jam. So I got into it with the help of pushing of Brad, who was in the chat.
Yep.
I was like, fine, because we talk about hoops all the time and stuff, and I was like, I don't really want to learn a whole new sport, basically, like all the players. And I was like, oh, there's not that many teams,
Right.
and then like the rosters are small,
So right, they're
like,
so
and
small.
that creates its own thing. I got more alpha for that, but that creates its own drama on figuring out like the sports betting and even like DFS and stuff like that. But like, so I've learned a lot of things from playing 1 year of WNBA that I can help people get into it that aren't, and just realize like it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And one of those things is that when the Libs play a team on back-to-backs, it wasn't a true back-to-back, they had a day
Right.
between. They blow out the first game, they crush them. Like you take the cover, like it was like a 17.5-point favorite the first time they played Golden State, and they crushed it. Like it was like they won by 30. And then
Wow.
the second game, it's always like, oh no, like it's gonna be close. So like when I'm doing DFS of it, I'm like playing that game close, the second
Yeah.
one. So like that's a trend for the
Well,
Libs.
that I didn't realize too, like Jonquel Jones didn't. I don't know if Jonquel played in the first game, but sat out. Oh, she did. Okay, sat out last night's game, and
Because there's a back-to-back. They're playing today too. So
yeah, and I think they like said it was hamstring, but
yeah.
there was a big Natasha Cloud had a big bucket with like a minute to go, and Jonquel got up and was like running around. So I was like,
Yeah.
her hamstring's fine. But there was this person who I think the Hornets wish they had. So the Liberty.
Okay.
Yeah, ready? Janelle Saloon.
Oh yeah, she's great.
And that
Hey, hold on, Underdog. Can we get her added to the player pool? I've asked you like 3 times now. Can we
not
get
player
Janelle
pool.
Saloon into the player pool?
Come on,
Look at
Nooms.
this.
But for those regulator who's a Hornets fan, you took your first round pick was to Johnny Saloon this past season. This woman, Janelle Saloon, last night was the hottest 3-point shooter I've seen in a while. Wait, only had 3? Okay, they were like tough.
They were clutch.
Yeah, tough contested threes, went 3 for 8 from 3, 18 points and 13 boards. Saloon was balling last night and had no answer. And the Liberty just like played bad. But to your point, I forgot like how tight those rotations are, where they really, especially with no Jonquel last night, like I think they probably played 8, but it was like not really. Like like Johannes played 21 and Gardner played 13, but all of their starters were basically north of 30 minutes, except for Kennedy Burke, who just couldn't stop fouling. So I do think you're right.
So the important thing to know, like when you're leaning into sports betting or even DFS of W, is they only play 40 minutes a game instead of the 48. That's a key. Second is that they are much smaller teams. They don't got these G League teams that with the two-way contracts and things that they can pull people up and manage games. Basically, a WNBA team is run like Dallas had to when they had nobody left because they were like this last year, like because they were completely mismanaged from trading to everything. Like there are 2 ways and making people active when they shouldn't have. So like Dallas had these 7 or 8 man rotations because that's all they had. That's all they had. That's basically what WNBA is. So things to think about, like blowout potential is not like you sit there and you're like, there's going to be there's a 17.5-point spread. There's going to be huge blowout. So the starters aren't going to get full run. That full run might be 2 less minutes than what they would have normally got. So like when you're thinking about WNBA, like in betting and in DFS, like, the blowout potential is a lot less.
Have you like speaking from the DFS and sports betting side of it, have there been teams that you have been targeting more than others? Like I know you had mentioned in our chat one time about like Atlanta had some changes, right? And so like their style of play has been very different from this season compared to last season. And obviously that's the case because they've been winning games too, which they weren't doing much of last year.
Yeah. Well, they made a bunch of trades as well. It's crazy when Brittany Griner's throwing up threes. All right.
Right. That is a very big change of pace.
Which is so like Atlanta's is doing like kind of like the pacer philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
pace and threes. So the analytics have not fully got into the W yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Like the Celtics, bomb and threes type thing. That's coming. Like it's going to be coming because guess what? These girls don't dunk very much
No.
or at all.
What? No. No. We're not going
The
to see a lot
dunker
of dunk.
spot is a layup spot. All
That's
right.
right.
So like if you're thinking mathematically, and you're starting to get these girls coming out that are just great shooters, just
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable shooters. So like you're gonna start seeing it more and more. Atlanta is one of those teams that made a coaching change that they're like I was attacking props early on just Ryan is like leading the league in threes last year, and now she gets the most 3-point heavy coach
Mm-hmm.
in the league. Like I was just attacking her 3-point overs and stuff like that. Um, yeah, something. Yeah, so you can target those sorts of things pretty significantly.
Yeah. If you were to give like, I mean, obviously people are like, "Oh, the Fever and Caitlin Clark," but if you were a relatively new W fan, is there a team that you'd be like, "Oh, this is where you should start if you needed to like pick up some fandom"?
Oh gosh, Indy, come on,
Yeah.
I mean that's already like that's the common one. I mean, obviously CC is out for a little bit, and that's gonna be something. But like, I'm not worried about that in the long term because they're gonna make the playoffs no problem. Um, they added a bunch of pieces, but CC is really exciting. Plus, Elia Boston is
Yeah.
just really
She's
really
awesome.
fun.
Boston's so fun.
Yeah, so fun. She's easily the most underrated player in the league, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Elia is. So, but then you've got the juggernauts, you got the libs, you got the Lynx. And then the underrated team that's kind of fun is the Mercury.
Yeah.
Because they made a ton of movement, obviously. They lost, Tarasi retired and all these things. They moved
Griner,
off of
Sophie, both left,
Griner.
right?
Yeah, but then they did the genius thing, and they picked up Sabali.
Mm.
Um, and let's just talk about the wings for a second. All right, let's just talk about that. Like Sabali was on the wings. The wings, like when I came into WDFS, I was looking at like really fun spots. It was
Mm-hmm.
the wings. Like they had Sabali, they had Agumbawale. They were really fun. They were pace. But Enrique is Jordan Poole.
I was gonna. You know what's so funny, man? I was thinking that, and I was like, "Where did I see that?" But it was you. I think it was you that
Yeah,
said it. Yeah,
she's Jordan Poole because like she's really really fun. Like,
yeah.
and I'm an Agumbawale lover. Her husband went to the UW of Wisconsin, was a running back there.
Oh my God, that's her husband.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
Dare.
I did not know that. All right.
Dare Agumbawale. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Former
like,
Giant legend.
yeah, there you go. So like, man, like I love I'm a supporter of Enrique, but she does not play defense.
No.
She is a ball stopper. And when she's hot, when she's like hitting threes like yesterday, like
Yeah.
she's super fun. But okay, anybody can do that against the Chicago Sky. Like anybody can do that against Connecticut. Like she had a good game a couple of games ago against Connecticut. But then like she opened the season against like Minnesota a couple times and stuff. And it was like, okay, I'm just betting her unders. It's like one of those like, is it a pool party day? Is it an
Right.
Eureka day? Well, let's see who she's playing against.
Right. Yeah, they did a lot of roster changing too. I mean, obviously they got Paige, which is fun, but that is going to be a longer
That's really
rebuild,
fun.
I think.
So that's where it's like bringing up Sabali is like, man, I wish they just kept Sabali, who is
Honestly,
like maybe secret top 5 player in the W.
Sabali's awesome. I was hoping that because there was like some rumors that Liberty were going to try before it was Natasha Cloud made the move that they were going to try to make a run at Sabali because I
That would
believe
have been sick.
Sabali's sister is on the Liberty. I think that's
Yeah,
right.
Nira's on the Liberty. She's hurt right now,
Yeah.
but she's
Yeah,
also a
but
big. But
the
Sabali is like the secret top 5 player and would have been perfect to pair with Paige,
mhm.
where like you can have the ball in Paige's hands and like then you have a big to go along with her. But now you got 2 ball dominant guards. It's just like, ugh, what are you doing?
I know. But yeah, the Phoenix roster is kind of, I like Kalea Copper. Like that's a real fun one.
She's hurt too, and so Phoenix is 4-1, and Kalea hasn't played a single game this year.
Yeah, and Alyssa Thomas, who is like a better Draymond Green offensively, but like will just fill up the
so
stat sheet.
my comp for her is Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, that's fun.
That's a fun comp.
That's fun. So you don't love them on the defensive end?
No. I mean, I guess she's maybe more close. No, she can play defense. Alyssa Thomas can play defense.
But I get what you're saying though. Like the points, rebounds are going to be there
and assists. She's more ball dominant than Draymond is my point. Like she's like outside of like Caitlin Clark, she's like an assist monster.
Yeah,
in the league. So
that's why it's so crazy that Connecticut Sun team just like blew it up immediately, because they were right there. Like I remember getting ready for that playoff run with the Liberty, and I mean, the Lynx are insane, and I think the Lynx have a real chance at running the table this season. But I was just as scared as the Sun as I was of the Lynx. Like I thought that Sun team was just so dominant. And now it's clear why they did what they did, right? Where they were like, we're not going to be paying for this team. Actually, we're going to sell this team. And it sounds like they are on the move. Did you see that? I think we had like messaged about it, but Sun to Boston. Do we think that is happening?
I think that'd be it makes like all of the sense, because like, no offense to Connecticut, who has rich basketball history, like their college program is obviously
Connecticut, man. Sorry, as a Massachusetts native, we don't fuck Connecticut.
Okay, no offense to them, but like it makes more sense for them to be in Boston. And knowing how they did their offseason, it makes sense that this was just probably down the pipe. So like if you're reading the tea leaves, that makes so much sense, because like Connecticut was like right there. Like it was such like a weird thing for me to turn on my podcasts and hear the smart people talk about how Connecticut's going to be the bottom of the league. And I was like, wait, what happened?
And it was almost like immediately, like they just kind of started shipping people off immediately once the season ended. And I don't know if they were like looking at the landscape of the league and they're like, we're not going to be able to run this back and stay and compete with like the Liberties and the Lynxes of the world. And we should.
Agreed. I think that's smart. It's smart because they got like the talent. Like you're looking like 1 or 2 years away from a top-ish pick, and if you can land like a Juju somewhere down the road, like that's like you want that. You want that when you're like, I can't win today. So with what we have, so let's blow it up. And that's not enough NBA team to do that. Chicago Bulls. So like I respect it a lot.
Yeah, I think the league's going to look so different too in a couple of years. Like I think that the expansion is definitely going to help, but because these roster sizes are so small and there's not a lot of teams, and like the talent infusion every year is so insane. I mean, that's why and hopefully we don't see this as much now, but like you would win the Rookie of the Year one season, and then you would be cut by the team in camp the next year. Like that's how crazy the talent turnover happens. And I think it's just going to be like those roster spots are going to be even more like, just because the college game is so strong that every time a rookie class comes in, you're like, holy shit, like where are we going to fit everybody? And I know we have the Toronto team coming. Is there another expansion team that I'm forgetting about? Is it Toronto, Golden State? Maybe that's it. But I imagine we see a couple more soon.
I would. They're pushing for it. I mean, there's a couple of things like they really got to capitalize on this boom for the W, and like all credit to CC on that. Like she's very exciting. The league will be fine even when she's missing these couple of weeks of games or whatever.
Yeah,
like it's there. The people that are there, they're there. But like they got to capitalize on it. I think they got to grow it. Like the players want, because there's more viewership and stuff, they want bigger salaries, which eventually I think they should get. But like the league's been at a deficit for however long, being subsidized by the NBA and everything. Let's put that money into bigger rosters, I think, to start with. Like just straight up like last night. What was it? What was her name?
Which game?
Last night there was I got it right here. SW exposure. Tiffany Hayes for Golden State. She got smacked in the face like a few games back and like almost like broke her face, like just took like an elbow to the nose or whatever. and she's been out for a couple games. And yesterday she was questionable all day. This is a little bitter rant. Tiffany Hayes was questionable all day, but I was like, oh, she's totally playing. 2 days. 2 days off is just like a bump on the nose, not broken or anything. She's gonna play. She was active for the game, and she should have started. She is a starter for Golden State, but she was active DNP, and that happens a lot in the W. And as somebody who has 44% of her on Underdog,
oh no,
that is not fun.
Oh God!
But they have to active her because their roster is
they don't have enough players.
They don't have enough players, and it's like an emergency. Like, okay, she can play. We're not going to play her.
Right.
But if like some freak accident or a fight breaks out and we get like some ejections,
right?
Like we're gonna like need her to fill a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But like it's so let's get the rosters a little bigger so that they can get a little bit more flexible. Like even coming into the year, there's another team that one of their guards went out, and then they only got 2 guards on the entire roster.
Yeah.
And like so I'm attacking that from a DFS wise, but like it's like we gotta expand the roster more than the really popular players. They're getting paid by commercials and stuff.
Right.
They're
shoe
fine.
deals, commercials, like
State Farm is paying them, like it's fine.
Right. Right. No, I'm with you. I like that. It's funny, like most of these teams that you called it earlier are just like the Dallas Mavericks, like that they just don't have enough people, and they're like, oh well, PJ Washington's available tonight, but is not expected to see the floor. Like it's a lot of stuff like that.
Well, and the reporting is so not as good in the W. So like you think it's silly, like when Steph Curry gets ruled out at 5:30 p.m. Because like we don't even know that a lot of the times for the W.
You have to. There's like Winsider's pretty good. That's like a good like hub to find stuff. But you're right, it's not to the same like scope as like the Warriors have 45 different beat writers, and it's way easier to stay on top of it. Tesla saying in the chat, a ton of NBA teams lose money too. Just gonna invest in the visibility of the league. And Detroit also in line. That's great. I love that. Bring the shock back. Get the shock back in there. I was gonna say, one other thing, something that I noticed last night, which was fun. It's because I've been going to Liberty games now for 4 or 5 years, I think, and like the first couple of years was pretty casual, and in the last like 2.5 years, I've been a pretty big fan of the league in general, but like really following the Liberty. And a couple of things have happened this year compared to last year. Like before, they would only open so Barclays would sell out, but they wouldn't open the upper bowl, like the very top. And the vibe was still like, it was crazy loud. Honestly, way better than a Brooklyn Nets game vibe wise. This year, upper bowl's open and is like almost completely sold out every game. But the biggest change that I've seen, and I tweeted this joke out, that I can tell it's becoming more mainstream because of the chaos that's being yelled now, where like in WNBA games normally it's still this case, but like very family friendly, very positive, just very positive. And in in these games last night, there was crazy stuff being yelled by men, by women, by straight people, by gay, like people, everybody just yelling chaos stuff. And I have not seen that and this is a regular season game, and I don't know.
Fandom is coming.
Exactly. And I don't know if it was the New York had just nervous energy because the Knicks were playing at the same time, but there was this woman behind me and like, I don't know. They were yelling during Stewie's free throws and just being like, come on, Stewie, but like during the free throw. And I was like, listen, I love where this energy is. Yeah, you got to save it for when they're shooting free throws. It was nuts. But yeah, it was fun. Also, Tessa said fun hearing people about actual gameplay versus who's hot. Yeah, there we go. We're not going to do hot or not for WNBA or NBA takes. We're not going to do either. But MagiKarp, dude, thank you.
We're both happily married men. All right.
That's right.
We're both happily married men.
And if I was single, I don't think I would do that either. I just put that out there. But dude, thank you for coming down. This is fun. We'll have to get you back on as we get like deeper into the W streets, and maybe we'll do like a full once Underdog allows me to draft W again, maybe we'll do like a underdog drafting show or do like a pick'em show or something. We'll do something.
Oh, we'll get something done. Well, you got these 3-hour blocks that you got to worry about in the future. So
that's right. We'll that's right. Yeah, which is supposedly starting next week, so I have to get on that. Anything? Should we send people anywhere? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Anything? Go ahead.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter, of course, and I got my own podcast. So follow that. It's good. It's a good listen. And yeah, thanks for having me on, Mike.
Wait, hold on. I feel that is a bit, right? Okay. Now I thought we talked about that being a bit, and then you said it so confidently and seriously that I was like, God damn it, does he have a podcast? You have to start it. I think you just got to start it. Just do an intro video. I mean, an intro episode. You don't have to do anything else. Just and then just give updates, being like, hey, very exciting news coming soon.
Yeah. Or I could just talk about how disappointing the Chicago Sky are. That's all.
There we go. MagiKarp, thanks for hanging. For everybody else, we got Hoop Sense starting in 10 minutes, so I got to go pee. But go check out Hoop Sense and enjoy the weekend. We're out of here. Thanks, guys.